The greatest battle you will ever fight in your life is not against the world outside of you. It is the battle inside your own mind, because before a person loses their money, they lose their focus. Before a person loses their success, they lose their discipline. Before a person loses their future, they lose control over the thoughts they allow to live inside their mind. Let me tell you something. Your life is not changed by one giant decision. Your life is shaped by the small decisions you make when nobody is watching. It is shaped by the thoughts you repeat, the words you speak, the habits you practice, and the choices you make when there is no applause, no recognition, and nobody standing there telling you that you are doing the right thing. Most people are searching for the secret to success. They look for a shortcut, a hidden formula, a magical opportunity that will suddenly transform everything. But here is what most people don't understand. The person who controls themselves has already discovered the greatest secret. Because if you cannot control your mind will control you. If you cannot control your words will control your relationships. If you cannot control your money problems will control your freedom. And when your thoughts, your words, and your finances are controlled by circumstances, you are no longer designing your life. You are simply reacting to it. Think about this for a moment. Two people can experience the same failure. They can face the same rejection. They can lose the same opportunity. They can walk through the same storm. But one person rises while the other remains defeated. Why? Because the difference was never only the situation. The difference was the meaning they gave to the situation. One person looked at failure and said, "This proves I am not good enough." Another person looked at failure and said, "This is teaching me something I need to learn." One person saw difficulty as a wall. Another person saw difficulty as a staircase. The event was the same. The interpretation was different. And your interpretation of life becomes your direction in life. I learned something years ago. The mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant, whatever you water, whatever you protect will eventually grow. If you plant fear every day, fear grows. If you plant doubt every day, doubt grows. If you plant excuses every day, excuses grow. But if you plant discipline, courage, knowledge, patience, and faith in yourself, something powerful begins to happen. Your identity starts changing. And when your identity changes, your actions change. When your actions change, your results change. Most people want better results without becoming a better person. They want more money, but refuse to learn about money. They want success, but refuse to develop discipline. They want respect, but refuse to become responsible. They want a different life while protecting the same habits that created their current life. You cannot build a new future with an old mindset. You cannot create a powerful life while being controlled by weak thoughts. There comes a moment when you have to sit with yourself and ask a difficult question. Am I controlling my life, or am I allowing my life to control me? Because every day you are either moving toward freedom or moving toward limitations. Every day you are either building yourself or breaking yourself. Every day you are either becoming stronger or becoming comfortable. And comfort is one of the most dangerous enemies of greatness. Comfort whispers to you. It says, you have done enough. It says, start tomorrow. It says, you are tired. You deserve to relax. And sometimes you do need rest. But there is a difference between resting and surrendering. There is a difference between recovering and quitting. There is a difference between taking a break and abandoning your dreams. The person who wins is not the person who never feels tired. The person who wins is the person who continues even when they feel tired. Discipline is not about always feeling motivated. Motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes. Discipline is a decision. Discipline says, I will do what needs to be done because my future deserves my effort. Let me tell you about a person who changed his entire life because he understood this principle. He was not born wealthy. He did not have special connections. He did not wake up one morning with everything figured out. He was an ordinary person with ordinary problems. Bills were increasing. Opportunities were limited. Debt. People around him constantly reminded him of what he could not do. Every day he heard voices telling him that his dreams were unrealistic. But one day he realized something important. The opinions of others could only control him if he gave them permission. He started changing one thing at a time. He changed what he listened to. He changed what he read. He changed the conversations he had with himself. Instead of saying, why is life so difficult? Now he started asking, what can I learn from this difficulty? Instead of saying, why don't I have more? He started asking, how can I become more valuable? And slowly, almost invisibly, his life began changing. Not overnight, not through luck, through growth. That is how real transformation happens. A person does not become successful in one moment. A person becomes successful through thousands of moments where they choose growth over comfort. Your future is hidden inside your daily routine. Look at your routine, and you will see your direction. Look at your habits, and you will see your destination, because your habits are votes for the person you are becoming. Every book you read is a vote. Every workout you complete is a vote. Every difficult conversation you handle with maturity is a vote. Every time you choose discipline instead of distraction, you are voting for a stronger version of yourself. The problem is that many people underestimate small actions. They think small actions do not matter. But small actions repeated over time create extraordinary results. A tree does not become massive in one day. It grows one ring at a time. A building is not completed with one brick. It is built brick by brick. A successful life is created choice by choice. This is the compound effect of life. A small decision today may seem insignificant, but repeated for months and years, it can completely change your identity. The person who saves a small amount of money every day develops financial discipline. The person who learns something new every day develops wisdom. The person who improves one small weakness every day develops strength. The person who controls one negative thought today develops mental power. Never underestimate the power of small improvements, because your life is not usually destroyed by one massive mistake. It is often damaged by small mistakes repeated consistently. A little laziness every day. A little complaining every day. A little spending without thinking every day. A little procrastination every day. And one day a person looks around and wonders, how did I get here? But the same law works in your favor. Small positive actions repeated consistently can rebuild your life. One better choice, one better habit, one better thought, one better conversation, one better decision. That is how a new person is created. Now let us talk about words, because your words are not just sounds coming out of your mouth. Your words are instructions. They influence your emotions. They influence your relationships. They influence your beliefs. The words you speak repeatedly become the environment your mind lives in. If every day you say, I cannot do this, your mind begins searching for evidence that supports that belief. If every day you say, nothing works for me, your mind begins noticing every disappointment. But when you change your language, you begin changing your perspective. Instead of saying, I have a problem, say, I have a challenge that I can solve. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned something valuable. Instead of saying, I am not ready, say, I am becoming ready through action. Words shape identity. A person who constantly speaks weakness eventually accepts weakness. A person who constantly speaks possibility begins searching for opportunity. Your mouth can build your future or destroy it. How many opportunities have people lost because they spoke without thinking? How many relationships have been damaged because of uncontrolled words? How many dreams have been abandoned because someone repeated negative sentences until they believe them. Your words matter. The successful person understands that not every thought deserves to become a sentence. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Maturity is learning how to control the space between feeling something and responding to it. A person who cannot control their emotions becomes controlled by every situation. Someone insults them and they lose their peace. Someone doubts them and they lose their confidence. Someone rejects them and they lose their direction. But a disciplined mind says, I choose my response. That is power. Real power is not controlling other people. Real power is controlling yourself. Because the hardest person you will ever lead is yourself. Because the person who masters themselves can handle anything life places in front of them. Think about this for a moment. A person who cannot control their own emotions is like a ship without a captain. The waves decide where it goes. The wind decides its direction. The storm decides its future. But a person who has developed self-control becomes the captain of their own ship. The storm may still come. The waves may still rise. The challenges may still appear. But now there is someone strong enough inside to navigate through them. Let me tell you something. The goal of life is not to create a world where nothing difficult happens. That world does not exist. The goal is to become the kind of person who can stand strong when difficulty arrives, because life will test you. It will test your patience. It will test your discipline. It will test your confidence. It will test whether your dreams are just wishes or whether they are commitments. Anyone can be motivated when everything is going well. Anyone can feel powerful when people are supporting them. Anyone can believe in themselves when success is visible. But the real test comes when nobody believes. The real test comes when you work for months and see no results. The real test comes when you wake up tired, disappointed, and uncertain, yet you still decide to move forward. That is where character is built. That is where champions are created, not in comfort, not in easy moments, but in the invisible battles nobody sees. There is a version of you that only appears when life becomes difficult. The question is, will that version of you be someone who gives up? Or will that version of you be someone who rises? Many people think success is about talent. They think successful people have something special that others do not have. But when you study the lives of great achievers, you discover something different. They are not successful because they never struggled. They are successful because they learned how to struggle better. They learned how to turn pain into progress. They learned how to turn rejection into motivation. They learned how to turn mistakes into lessons. They learned that every obstacle carries a message. Every failure carries information. Every difficult season carries an opportunity to grow. I remember hearing a wise mentor say something years ago. The person who refuses to learn from pain will experience the same pain repeatedly. And there is so much truth in that. Pain is a teacher. But many people hate the teacher because they do not like the lesson. They want success without sacrifice. They want results without responsibility. They want the reward without the process. But life does not work that way. The seed does not become a tree without being buried first. The athlete does not become strong without training. The mind does not become powerful without challenges. Growth requires pressure. Diamonds are created under pressure. Muscles are built through resistance. Character is developed through difficulty. So when you face a hard season, ask yourself a different question. Do not only ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Because the quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. A weak question creates a weak mindset. A powerful question creates a powerful direction. Instead of asking, why am I unlucky? Ask, what can I improve? Instead of asking, who is responsible for my problems? Ask, what responsibility can I take? Because responsibility is where your power begins. The moment you accept responsibility for your life, you take back control. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop giving away your power. You realize that your future is not built by hoping. Your future is built by becoming more disciplined, becoming more educated, becoming more patient, becoming more courageous, becoming the person who can handle the opportunities you are asking for. Because here is something most people never think about. Sometimes the reason you do not have what you want is not because life is against you. Sometimes it is because you are not prepared to carry it yet. A person may ask for more money, but if they have poor financial habits, more money will only create bigger problems. A person may ask for success, but if they have no discipline, success will expose their weaknesses. A person may ask for influence, but if they cannot control their words, influence can destroy them. The question is not only, what do I want? The deeper question is, who must I become to deserve and sustain what I want? That question changes everything, because successful people do not only chase achievements, they build themselves. They understand that the greatest investment they can make is the investment in their own growth. Your skills can increase, your knowledge can increase, your confidence can increase, your discipline can increase, your ability to solve problems can increase. And when you increase your value, you increase the value you can create for others. The world rewards value. The person who learns more can contribute more. The person who develops more can serve more. The person who improves more can achieve more. But many people spend years trying to change their external world while ignoring their internal world. They change jobs, but do not change habits. They change locations, but do not change mindset. They search for new opportunities, but carry the same old limitations. But wherever you go, you take yourself with you. If you are undisciplined in one place, you will eventually become undisciplined somewhere else. If you are negative in one environment, you will eventually find reasons to be negative in another environment. The solution is not always changing your surroundings. Sometimes the solution is changing yourself, because the person you become determines the life you create. Now let us talk about money. Because money is one of the greatest reflections of discipline. Money itself is not good or bad. Money simply reveals the habits, decisions, and priorities of the person who controls it. Give money to someone without wisdom, and money disappears. Give money to someone with discipline, and money becomes a tool to create opportunities, a tool to support family, a tool to build dreams, a tool to create freedom. But most people were never taught how to think about money. They were taught how to earn money. They were taught how to spend money, but they were not taught how to manage money. And what you cannot manage, you cannot multiply. A person who earns a lot but spends without thinking is not financially free. A person who earns less but understands discipline may be building a stronger foundation, because wealth is not only about how much enters your hands, it is about how wisely you handle what enters your hands. Every dollar, every decision, every purchase is a reflection of your priorities. Money asks you a question: are you controlling me, or am I controlling you? Because when people lose control of money, they often lose control of their choices. They cannot take risks. They cannot pursue opportunities. They cannot help others. They become trapped by decisions they made years ago. But financial discipline creates options, and options create freedom. This is why controlling your money is not only about becoming rich. It is about becoming responsible. It is about respecting your future self. Because every financial decision you make today is a message you send to the person you will become tomorrow. When you waste everything today, tomorrow's version of you pays the price. When you build wisely today, tomorrow's version of you receives the benefit. Your future self is watching every decision you make. Your future self is depending on the choices you make right now. Will you make choices that create strength or choices that create regret? Because there are two kinds of pain in life. The pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret can stay with you for years. The pain of waking up early. The pain of learning when you would rather relax. The pain of saving when you want to spend. The pain of working when others are distracted. That pain builds you. But the pain of regret says, I had the opportunity, but I was afraid. I had the time, but I wasted it. I had the ability, but I never developed it. I knew what I needed to do, but I kept choosing comfort. And that is a heavy burden to carry. So choose your pain wisely. Choose the pain that creates you. Choose the struggle that strengthens you. Choose the discipline that builds the person you want to become. Because every morning you wake up, you are given another opportunity to rewrite your story. The past may explain you, but it does not have to define you. Your mistakes may have shaped you, but they do not have to imprison you. Your circumstances may have challenged you, but they do not have to control you. The person you become from this moment forward is determined by what you choose to practice, what you choose to believe, and what you choose to do when nobody is watching, because every choice you make is a deposit into the person you are becoming. Every thought, every word, every action, every habit. You are constantly creating yourself. Most people think they are waiting for their future to arrive, but your future is not something that simply appears one day. Your future is something you build. Brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. And the person who understands this stops asking, when will my life change? They start asking, what can I change today? That is the difference between a person who waits and a person who creates. Let me tell you something. A powerful life is not created by powerful moments alone. It is created by ordinary moments handled with extraordinary discipline. The moment when your alarm rings and you choose to get up. The moment when you feel like quitting, but choose to continue. The moment when nobody is praising you, but you still do the work. The moment when nobody would know if you gave up, but you decide not to. Those moments seem small. Nobody sees them. Nobody celebrates them. But those are the moments that build the foundation of greatness. Success is usually invisible before it becomes visible. People see the result. They see the achievement. They see the confidence. They see the success, but they rarely see the thousands of private battles that created it. They do not see the mornings when someone had to fight their own excuses. They do not see the nights when someone had to sacrifice entertainment for education. They do not see the moments when someone had to choose patience over immediate pleasure. Every successful person has a story that includes a chapter nobody applauded, a chapter of struggle, a chapter of uncertainty, a chapter where they had to believe before they had evidence. And that is where faith in yourself is developed, not when everything is easy, but when everything tells you to stop and something inside you says, keep going. Think about this for a moment. What separates the person who transforms their life from the person who stays trapped? It is not always intelligence. It is not always opportunity. It is often the ability to stay committed longer than others, because many people start. Very few continue. Many people dream. Very few sacrifice. Many people talk about change. Very few are willing to change their daily behavior. The beginning of transformation is exciting. Everyone loves a fresh start, a new goal, a new promise, a new vision. But the middle is where people are tested. The middle is where motivation becomes discipline. The middle is where you have to continue even when the excitement disappears. And this is where most people lose. Not because they are incapable, not because they lack potential, but because they never learned how to stay consistent when emotions change. Your feelings are not always telling you the truth. Your feelings may tell you to stop. Your feelings may tell you that progress is too slow. Your feelings may tell you that you are not making enough difference. But feelings are temporary. Principles are permanent. A person who builds their life around feelings will always be unstable. A person who builds their life around principles becomes unstoppable. There will be days when you do not feel confident. Show up anyway. There will be days when you do not feel motivated. Take action anyway. There will be days when the results are not visible. Trust the process anyway, because the farmer does not dig up the seed every morning to check if it is growing. He plants, he waters, he protects, he waits. He understands that growth is happening beneath the surface before it appears above the ground. Your life works the same way. Sometimes you are growing in ways you cannot yet see. Sometimes the discipline you are building today is preparing you for opportunities you have not met yet. Sometimes the lessons you are learning now are protecting you from mistakes you have not made yet. Never confuse silence with failure. A quiet season does not mean nothing is happening. A tree grows silently before it becomes strong enough to provide shade. A foundation is built underground before a building rises into the sky. The deepest growth often happens where nobody is watching. I learned something years ago. The person who masters the small things earns the ability to handle the big things. People want big opportunities, but big opportunities require big responsibility. If you cannot manage your time, how will you manage a company? If you cannot control your spending, how will you manage wealth? If you cannot control your emotions, how will you handle pressure? If you cannot keep promises to yourself, how will others trust you with important responsibilities? Your habits are preparing you for your future. Every habit is training. The question is, are your habits training you for success or training you for limitation? Because your daily routine is not just a schedule. It is a reflection of your priorities. Look at what someone does consistently, and you will understand what they truly value. People say they want success, but their calendar tells a different story. They say they want growth, but they spend hours feeding distractions. They say they want financial freedom, but they refuse to learn financial discipline. They say they want confidence, but they avoid the challenges that create confidence. Confidence is not something you simply receive. Confidence is earned. You earn confidence by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you do something difficult that you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. Every time you complete a commitment, you strengthen your identity. Every time you overcome resistance, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And slowly, something changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is trying. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That identity shift is powerful because the strongest changes in life happen when your identity changes. A person who says, I am trying to save money, thinks differently from a person who says, I am a disciplined person who manages money wisely. A person who says, I am trying to become successful, thinks differently from a person who says, I am someone who develops valuable skills every day. The words you attach to yourself matter. Your identity creates your actions. Your actions create your results. Your results reinforce your identity. It becomes a cycle. And if you want different results, you must interrupt the old cycle. You must challenge the old beliefs. You must question the old excuses. You must stop protecting the habits that are keeping you away from the life you desire. Because sometimes the biggest obstacle between you and your dream is not a lack of opportunity. It is an old version of yourself that you refuse to release. The version that chooses comfort over growth. The version that looks for excuses instead of solutions. The version that blames circumstances instead of accepting responsibility. The version that says, maybe someday. But someday is not a day on the calendar. Someday is often where dreams go to disappear. The person who changes their life learns to respect today, Today is where your power exists, not yesterday. Yesterday is a lesson. Tomorrow is a possibility. But today is where action happens. Today is where you make the decision. Today is where you choose discipline. Today is where you take one step closer to becoming the person you were meant to become. And sometimes that step feels too small. Sometimes it feels like it cannot possibly change anything. But remember, a single drop of water does not seem powerful until you understand that oceans are made from countless drops. A single brick does not seem impressive until you see the building it creates. A single decision does not seem life-changing until you see the person those decisions create over years. Never underestimate the power of consistency, because consistency is the bridge between goals and reality. Talent may give someone a strong beginning, but consistency determines who finishes. The world is full of talented people who never reached their potential because they lacked discipline. And the world is also full of ordinary people who achieved extraordinary things because they refused to stop improving. You do not need to be the most gifted person in the room. You need to become the most committed person in the room. You need to become the person who keeps learning, the person who keeps adapting, the person who keeps moving forward. Because life rewards those who continue developing themselves. The person who improves 1% every day becomes almost unrecognizable over time. Not because of one dramatic transformation, but because of thousands of small choices aligned with a powerful vision. And that vision begins with understanding that your mind is your greatest asset. And now I want you to remember something. The life you dream about is not waiting for a perfect moment. It is waiting for a decision. A decision that says, I am no longer going to live beneath my potential. A decision that says, I will stop making excuses and start making progress. A decision that says, my future deserves the best version of me. Because one day, years from now, you will look back at this moment. You will remember the day you decide to take yourself seriously. You will remember the day you stopped blaming circumstances. You will remember the day you stopped waiting for someone else to believe in you. And you will realize that everything changed when you finally believed in yourself. Let me tell you something. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. Failure is a lesson. Failure is a teacher. Failure can make you stronger, wiser, and more prepared. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of your journey and realizing you never discovered what you were capable of. The greatest pain is not falling short after giving everything. The greatest pain is wondering what could have happened if you had tried. Regret is a heavy burden. It is the weight of dreams you abandoned. It is the weight of opportunities you ignored. It is the weight of the person you could have become, but never allowed yourself to be. And that is why you must choose discipline today. Not because discipline is easy. Not because discipline always feels good, but because discipline is the bridge between the person you are and the person you are capable of becoming. Your future is built by the sacrifices you make today, every early morning, every difficult choice, every moment you choose growth over comfort, every time you say no to distraction and yes to your purpose. Those moments are not taking something away from you. They are creating something within you. They are creating strength. They are creating confidence. They are creating a person who can walk into any room knowing they earned their place. Do not wait until you feel ready. You become ready by taking action. Do not wait until you have perfect conditions. Perfect conditions are a myth. The people who changed the world are not the people who had everything figured out. They are the people who started with what they had. They started with fear. They started with uncertainty. They started with doubts. But they started. And that first step created momentum. Your life does not change when you think about changing. Your life changes when you act. 1,000 dreams die every day. because people keep waiting for tomorrow. Tomorrow they will start. Tomorrow they will improve. Tomorrow they will become disciplined, but tomorrow keeps moving. And one day, tomorrow becomes a lifetime of missed opportunities. Do not give your future self the burden of your current excuses. Give your future self the gift of your courage. Give your future self the gift of your discipline. Give your future self the gift of knowing that today you chose to fight for your own life because you have a purpose. You have something inside you that the world has not seen yet. There are ideas you have not created. There are skills you have not developed. There are heights you have not reached. There is a stronger version of yourself waiting on the other side of your comfort zone. But that version of you cannot be created by wishing. That version of you is created by commitment, by consistency, by showing up again and again, by doing the work when nobody is watching. Remember this: motivation can start the journey, but discipline finishes it. Passion can create the dream, but consistency creates the result. Belief can open the door, but action is what walks through it. So stop asking if you are capable. Start proving that you are. Stop waiting for confidence. Build confidence through action. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Become the person who is prepared when opportunity arrives. Your destiny is not written by what happens to you. Your destiny is shaped by how you respond. The world will challenge you. People will doubt you. Obstacles will appear. There will be moments when quitting feels easier. But remember who you are becoming. Remember why you started. Remember that every great person you admire was once standing exactly where you are standing now. At a beginning, facing uncertainty, carrying a dream that nobody else could see. The difference is they kept going. They continued when it was difficult. They believed when there was no evidence. They worked when there was no applause. And eventually, their results became louder than their doubts. Now it is your turn. This is your moment. Not next year. Not someday. Not when everything is perfect. Today. Right now, make the decision. Take control of your mind, because your thoughts create your direction. Take control of your words, because your words create your reality. Take control of your money, because your financial choices create your freedom. Take control of your habits, because your habits create your future. Take control of yourself, because when you master yourself, you begin to master your life. The person you become tomorrow is created by the choices you make today. So make choices that your future self will thank you for. Wake up with purpose. Work with discipline. Learn with humility. Grow with courage. Move forward with faith. And never forget, a small step taken consistently can change an entire life. One decision can change a direction. One habit can change an identity. One moment of courage can change a destiny. Your story is not finished. Your best chapter is not behind you. There is still time. There is still opportunity. There is still greatness inside you, waiting to be awakened. But the time to begin is not when you feel fearless. The time to begin is when you decide that your dreams are more important than your fears. So stand up, rise above your excuses. Silence the voice that tells you it is too late. Become the person you have always known you could become, because the world does not need a smaller version of you. Your family does not need a weaker version of you. Your future does not need a distracted version of you. Your future needs the disciplined, focused, courageous, unstoppable version of you. The version who keeps promises. The version who refuses to quit. The version who understands that greatness is not something you find. It is something you build, starting today, starting with one decision, starting with one action, starting with you.